Hello. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, Brit.
Okay, we'll be Brit. Kris. Brit. Hello.
That wasn't bad.
Thank you. Thank you. Every so often I'll sneak into it. And I remember one day at work, I was speaking in a British accent just because, I wanted to have fun and be silly. And everybody's like, what are you doing? So I'm like, okay, maybe I won't. So it's not that good, but I do enjoy it.
We live in Chester, and Chester is a city in England, and we're right on the border of Wales. It's like if you drive for 2 minutes, suddenly you're in Wales. And every now and then you'll be in a shop and you'll hear someone speaking with a Welsh accent, not in Welsh, but with a Welsh accent. And I'll just turn to my wife and I'll be, oh, hello there, my lovely. And she'll be like, don't do that. Because there are people.
They'll know.
I can't help it. It's just fun.
Yes.
I just love it. And then you do get some Welsh people sort of looking at you, but they don't know. Because if your accent's okay, they don't know that you're not, but that you're enjoying their accent, shall we say.
Yeah. Well, here's what I found, because I travel a lot. I find that I actually pick up the accent just subconsciously. Like even when I went to Ireland 4 days, I started pronouncing certain words like them, and I'm not making fun. It's just I'm so used to picking up accents subconsciously, just because even down in Texas I'll start picking up their accent. So it's just I'm just that person, and I don't mean to make fun. I either do it on purpose or I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yeah, if I'm with my Scottish relatives or friends,
you pick it up too. It goes,
absolutely.
It comes through. Yes.
Because I used to spend a lot of time with quite a few Scottish people, like in my family. I spent quite a lot of time with them, and I kind of developed that accent. And then I spent a lot of time in London, and it drifted. But then the second I meet them again, suddenly it comes back.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not. I mean, I am quite sarcastic, and sometimes I am taking the mick, but sometimes I'm like, no, genuinely, that one was a mistake. That one was, the other 10, they weren't. This one, that was a mistake.
That was legit. So like in your new book, Under Her Influence, you have a Scottish character and an English character. And so I listened to the audiobook, and it was great because your narrator, she did a great job of giving me what I think and know as a Scottish accent and what I think and know as an English accent. So it was real easy to pick up on who was speaking. I didn't have an issue with it at all.
Yeah. And I like doing that when you can do that. Sometimes I feel it can be too different, and you can have like someone who's got the really, really thick accent, and then someone who's not, and you can, every time you hear the really thick accent or someone who's got a very high-pitched voice, you're suddenly like, oh yeah. But I think there are some that work well together. So yeah, when I was writing it, I thought, well, that's just happy coincidence here, that's probably going to work well in the audio.
It sounded great. Like I actually talk about this in an upcoming Queerly Recommended podcast. We talked about your book, and I don't listen to audiobooks because I can't unless I'm trapped in a car, and I was trapped in a car. And so I'm like, I'm trapped in a car, I'll listen to an audiobook. And so I picked up this one, and I thought it was really great. And, like I said, I'm a sucker for accents anytime I can hear one. But to be honest, I was listening, I think like my third audiobook, I couldn't listen to it. It was English accents, and I couldn't do it. And I don't know if it was because they were both English. I don't know, but it just didn't grab me. And your book was so easy and to listen to. It was very smooth, and I love the accents. And
it is difficult because in England we have so many accents, a little bit like in America, but obviously in a lot shorter,
smaller space. Right?
And like my wife is Swedish, fluent in English, probably knows more English than either of us. Very competent, and yet up the road in Yorkshire, she'll hear someone talking and she'll be like, what did they say? Because the accent is so thick. Wow. And it's so different. And then, an hour in the other direction, it's Wales. And, you do have sort of a bit of a Welsh accent. And then you have the Valleys accent, which is incredibly strong. And sometimes I think people do that in narration. They kind of go like really far, and they go like, oh yeah, this person's from Newcastle. And I'm like, I was born in England. I can't understand people from Newcastle. Sorry to anyone from Newcastle listening, but I really can't. I try. I'm like, could you, like, in another country, you go, could you slow down?
That's true. And that's how it is in Germany. Like in schools, they're taught High German. Everybody's taught High German, Hochdeutsch. So, and Germany is about the size of Missouri, my state, roughly. And so Hochdeutsch everybody learns it, and then because there's over 1,000 dialects in Germany. And so it's amazing to me to try to communicate with somebody, you know, just like a half a mile up the road. You know, it's like everybody has such a different accent. And if you can't understand them, you ask them to speak in Hochdeutsch, and then everybody can understand you. It's just, you know, then you don't like street. And I always use this example because it's the strongest example for me. It's like street. Hochdeutsch is Straße. And in the dialect I grew up in, Strasse. Like, how the hell are you going to know Strasse from Straße? It's just, you're not going to pick up on it. So
yeah, it is so hard. And that's the thing, when people like talk about learning English, it is an easier language to learn. And then like as an English person, you try to learn other languages and you're like, so what's the rule here? And like Sweden doesn't, now this will sound like such an easy statement, but when you think about it, it's so hard. Sweden doesn't have a word for the.
Oh, interesting.
And plural and singular. So like how you would say that dog, as in that particular dog, is different to those dogs, is different to those many dogs. And the word changes. They don't have an S. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I learned I love you and I'd like a cup of tea, because I'm British and they're the essentials. I got those squared away day one, perfect. And then we were like, great, we'll move on to phase 2. And then we started talking about like things. And I was like, I know that word. And it's like, no, because you own those things. Oh, okay, that's different.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
those things are over there. That's different. And I was like, no, I'm putting this language away.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
I'll stick with I love you and can I have a cup of tea?
Right. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's for sure all you need. Yeah, I'm my editor. I'm the worst at grammar. And I don't know if it's because I learned German first and then English. I was switched over. And you can say like plural, something, dangling, participle. I don't understand any of that. I write the way I talk, you know, what I hear in my head. That's all I do. And then my editor's like, this is awful. So she'll switch things around all the time because I say things backwards. So it's weird.
That's what Emma does as well, because Swedish is obviously on the Germanic language tree. And sometimes she'll say things or she'll write things and they'll be backwards. And I'll go, no, if you just turn that around, that would be an English sentence. But it's really tricky because sometimes I as a sort of native English speaker, people say to me, but why that? And I'm like, just because it is. Sorry.
Like,
and it's like, people want an explanation.
I barely understand my own language. I can't explain it. Yeah.
Do I look like prowriteraid.com? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I talk like Yoda a lot. Like when I write, it's all Yoda. And Ashley's like, there's like never a page where there's not something written on. Like my edits come back and every page has, no, this is wrong. Switch this around. You said this wrong.
I mean, I'm okay with the grammar, but you know, I have written like 20 odd books, so you know, you got to learn something.
You would think. I mean, I'm like on book 15 and I still haven't learned it. I mean, I'm like baby steps, like super baby steps with me.
Oh, well, what I find is that you have a piece of information in your head, and like, so I don't know, a few years ago, my editor would go, "You use just all the time."
I love that word.
Go, okay, right, and then just goes, but then they're like, why are you comma splicing everywhere? And I'm like, what's a comma?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
I don't use English.
Yeah.
And then the just will come back 3 books later and they're like, oh, we're justing again. And I'm like, So I think I have like a finite amount of room. And it's like, I've got the story, which takes up the majority of it. And then a lot of commas, if we're honest, a lot of commas. And that's probably it. I don't really have the room for the other things I get taught. But I will say though, ProWriterAid really helps me, because quite often I'll write a sentence and I'll read it and I'll go, job's a good one. Perfect.
Yeah.
Could not be better. And I put it in ProWriterAid and it'll be underlined. And then I'll go, yeah, that's wrong. Why did I? So yeah, I just need that like common sense mechanism to go like, that's
for
not
me,
a sentence.
For sure, it's just really. I use really. I really like the way blah blah blah. Because I really do, and I say just a lot. I mean, I use
just
my
all the time.
Yes, it is a true word, and like on Twitter, they will skewer you if you use just. They're like, every writer, like they'll say, not every writer, but a lot of writers on Twitter will say, this is the worst word, never use this word ever. And I'm like, I count, it's like 86 and, justs in my book. And, but as long as my editor, she'll give me a limit of what I can use. Like I can use one exclamation point in a book. That's it. I can only use one. Just one. And now I have been, in this last book, I'm only allowed to use the word fierce once per book, one time per book. Like, okay.
I've not had that kind of harsh treatment.
Yes.
But I'm trying to think if I use exclamation marks. You see, I have Ruth edit me, and Ruth is exactly the editor I need.
Perfect.
Because she just does it.
Yeah.
We don't have a conversation. She says very clearly, she says, like, if I kill your favorite comma, let me know. But she goes ahead and kills those commas. Like, she's done it. Because it kind of, to me, I go, Ruth's right.
Yes.
And I'm the person holding on to do it. So if Ruth is happy to go and correct that, I'm not going to go back and go, oh, I would like that comma back. There's just no point, because
I don't fight for commas. The only I fight for content, like certain words, like I will fight for fierce. And it was funny because I wrote a book on storm chasing, and she's like, only one exclamation point. I'm like, you have never been in a tornado. Like, you say I can use exclamation marks like in one sentence. I can use enough for 5 books. Storm chasing is a screaming hobby / job. Just storms in general, you're going to say, holy shit, look at that. Or, oh my God, a funnel dropped down. It's not going to be like, hey, cool, look at this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that.
It's like, it's the environment.
Exactly.
I don't really write anything with exclamation marks, but I don't really have, I'm not as like exciting as storm chasing, I don't, I'm more about sort of like character stuff with a lot of my books. So yeah, I don't think I ever get told off for anything like that. I do get told off for what I don't put in.
Okay.
So I quite often write a book and send it to Ruth, and she'll come back and go, is this a romance? And I'll be like, yeah. She'll be like, you need to put some like romance in. And I'll be like, good point.
Yeah.
And then I have to go back because I'm so busy, like, because I tell the story and at the end I go, and then they're together, goodbye.
That's right.
And I'm done. I need to leave now. I've got other books on the schedule. So yeah, the one thing that like comes back with me with content is like, you need to maybe sprinkle some romance in further up, which I'm learning to do. And I've always known that, and I've always done that in all of my books. I've kind of gotten to the end and gone, done. And then when I go back to read it later, I'm like,
it's just like, it's fiction. It's general fiction.
General fiction. No.
Romance. See, and that's what I love. I love writing the chemistry and the romance, and not so much the story. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm writing in first person.
Yeah. So, and I have to say, I think you're amazing for writing in first person, and especially at any length. Because that must be so hard.
It is very hard. And everybody complain. Well, not everybody. I'm lying. Some people complain about the length. Your books are only 70 or 75,000 words. Why should I pay $9.99 when I can buy one on Kindle Unlimited for $2.99 that has like 350 pages?
Yeah.
I'm like, I want you to sit down and write a story in first person. Yeah. But all my third person books that I've written like 2 or 3 maybe. They're all so much longer because you can be descriptive. But you can't really be that descriptive. It's more of an emotional story than it is a physical story. And I feel like when I write third person, it's more of a physical story, and you get to describe things better. And I enjoy writing third person, but for sure first person is my thing. I like that so much more.
I've always written third person, and I know I could not write first person. Like, my worst nightmare would be if someone said to me, okay, your next book has to be first person. I would not know what to do. And it's so funny because I'm a full-time writer. I'm always plotting one, writing one, editing one. And that cycle has been going for about the last 4 years. And then I just have this real struggle with the idea of ever writing first person. Like I could never ever do that.
Do it. You could so do it.
I don't know.
Do it.
I just really struggle.
No. So here's something. So you kind of sort of did write a story in first person. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was June and Agnes.
Yeah.
See, everybody loved that story. It's a real story.
Yeah.
So, and it was beautiful. And everybody was like, this is so good.
And so many people have said to me, I want a photo of June and Agnes. And I'm like, I'm not just going to be like, hold on as you're walking your incredible dog.
If she's that slow, you could probably sneak it out of the kitchen.
I could get a million pictures as she goes past the house. Yeah. But I would feel pretty bad. And her daughter was not happy with me.
Oh, I bet.
But what are you doing? I mean, it's funny. I was
swindling her out of all of her money. You should have said that.
As a daughter, you get this. If you rocked up to your mum's house and there was some woman there with a cupcake.
Yeah. Get up. What are you doing here? It's COVID.
Hi. It was delicious, but you know.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I suppose, I don't know. But again, the length of it, I but my books are way shorter than yours. My books are sort of 65, 70,000 words.
Well, if you put $5,000 words of sex.
Yeah, that's what I need. That's what I'm missing. That is what I'm missing. Because I always write sweet romance.
Right.
And although I do have a sex scene in a book coming out soon.
Stop it.
I do. Well, I was writing about, it's so funny. I'm so many books in the future and then books coming out in the past. I have no idea which book it is. And you have to take a while to think. But I was writing a story about a solicitor, a lawyer, and a gym trainer. And I thought it would be wrong to not have a sex scene in this. Like, you've got this hot gym, bunny, like you can't not. So yeah, I did put, but I get so many emails from people, and I had a review the other day from someone saying, oh, at last, someone who doesn't rely on sex. And I was like, I've just put sex in this book.
Well, you just disappointed her.
Yeah, I'm like, But I get so many emails from people who sort of thank me for
that's good
writing clean romance. And then I get an equal number of people who say, that could have an epilogue with a sex scene in it. So you'll never please everyone.
Right. 100%. I have learned that. Some people say I take it too far. Some people are like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm so glad you're not afraid to put it on the page. And, but here's the thing. So like I wrote Not Guilty, and like that has so much sex in it. And it had to be like sex without love at first, at the beginning of it, because it's an erotica romance. So basically it's sex, love. So then it becomes romance at the very end. So then when I wrote Always, like, I'm like, I have maybe one scene, maybe one, maybe two scenes. And like normally like low for me is like 3 scenes. 3 sex scenes is low for me because, usually when you get into a new relationship with somebody, there's like that whole frenzy of, I need to know you, I need to touch you, I need to be with you. And it's the honeymoon phase, and you're having a lot of sex. So that's my logic. I write that because I feel like, when you have somebody new in your life, you do want to show them how much you care about them. And the one way that you do it at the beginning, I think, is sex. It's like, it's beautiful. So
and as you say, you've got that sort of pull at the start of a relationship. Like, you can't imagine spending your time anywhere else. You want to get to know that person, and sort of, every few days is sort of like, I want to see them again. So obviously there's that pull. And I think the difference is because I write quite slow burn. So, and then I get bored. So by the time I get to the end and they're together, I'm like, we're done. I'm done. My deadline's here. We're finished.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying. So I think it's a really interesting dynamic because, with sort of slow burn, and then like writing something that takes so long and sort of being a will they, won't they, versus the actual relationship side of things. So, in a way, our books sort of follow on from each other. Yeah. It's just a sort of writing a different kind of relationship, and that's where that dynamic comes in.
So under her influence is an age gap, and we know Beth's age, but we never know Gemma's age. Or did I miss it? Or you did
no,
that on purpose?
I do that on purpose.
Okay. You can whisper it to me, or like just go like.
You're not far off.
Okay. That's what I was figuring in my head. That's what I was thinking.
But that's really interesting though, because that's what I was kind of aiming for. Very few people seem to pick up on this. I don't describe my characters.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Mm-hmm. I don't bother, because I want someone to read it and make a decision as to who they think that is. And I've had people of color who have said, "Oh, I totally think this person's black." And I think that's really interesting, because I deliberately don't explain who they are, because I want people.
That's good.
Yeah, so people can see themselves. Like when I wrote Fitting In, which was about a character with autism, I had so many people from across every walk of life saying to me, "Oh yeah, I'm Scarlett. That is me." And I thought it was really interesting, because as the person receiving these emails, I'm seeing people who are, you know, in their 70s. I'm seeing people from other countries. I'm seeing people who are very young, and they're like, "Yes, Scarlett is just like me. I'm completely, utterly Scarlett."
That's
and
great.
I just found that fascinating. Yeah. So yeah, I don't describe, and I now and then put one of the ages in order to demonstrate it's an age gap. Right. But quite often I just fall back on the older. And again, this is why my books are on the shorter side, because I'm like, you can figure that out yourself.
Whatever you wanted.
Yeah, tell you what they look like.
I usually, like, my main character, you really don't know much about the main character. You don't really, because she doesn't talk about what she looks like. "Oh, I love my long hair," or whatever. She doesn't talk about it. Yeah. So, but she will describe, you know, the love interests. So like right now I'm doing it's a lighthearted. So Always is a real heavy emotional book. And I'm like, and I do this roller coaster thing where I write really emotional, then really fluffy, then really emotional and fluffy. So I'm on my fluffy book. And so my fluffy book is, it's like a bachelorette story. I know that sounds horrible, but it's basically this new show that came out. I say new show, 10 years ago. One of the characters on the show, like had a total burnout. Like on the show, they like kicked her off. They didn't kick her off. The main person made fun of her. So she became a meme on social media at her cry face. And so she like disappeared basically. And so 10 years later, they call her, they find her and they say, "Hey, we want you to be the bachelorette of the show." But it's a 10-year anniversary show. There's only gonna be 10 contestants, because I could not and would not want to put like 25 contestants in a book, because you'll never survive. But I have to describe them. And I do have a Black character. I have a non-binary character. Because I feel like that would be the show that I would be on. I would want to be on where there's more diversity. And so I have to kind of describe the characters. And so this is like the one book I'm actually going through and really describing the characters, so people, you know, because they're going to mix up all the people. You know, if you have 10 contestants, you have to, you know, keep them apart. And the way you keep them apart, besides their name, is, you know, some physical characteristics. So
and I think, again, you know, we're finding all the reasons why my books are shorter, because I generally have a much smaller cast. And like in Under
I'm gonna only do 2 though. I mean, I'm not.
You're going all out now. You're like,
I'm going all out.
Show.
Right. I'm all out. I'm like,
I'm not going to level up and slowly add a couple of people. I'm just going to do a TV show.
Right. TV show. This is perfect. So yes.
So how do you choose when you're going to be writing as Britt and as Kris? Do you kind of have an idea of what kind of things you want to write, or do you just have an idea and go, that will be that?
I pushed myself with Shameless when that came out in 2017. I wanted to see if I could write erotica, because there wasn't a lot on the market in indie publishing. There's a lot of self-published erotica, and it's almost all Kindle Unlimited. If you go to the erotica section Like to get in the top 100 on erotica is super hard because everything's Kindle Unlimited and it's all like daddy spanks me and like this horrible stuff that's under lesbian, but it really isn't. So
yeah,
I have issues there. But I wanted to see if I could actually do it. If I could, because I already have a high heat quote in my books.
Yeah.
So I just said, well, let's just see if I can write erotica, which is sex without love, romance.
Yeah.
And so the story Shameless came out, and I had no idea what was going to happen. Like that's with all my books. Sandy gets so mad at me. She's like, I just need a paragraph so I can get you a contract. She's like, I just need you to tell me what this book's about. That's it. Because I have no idea what's going to happen. And with Shameless, like this massively twist, there's a huge twist in Shameless. And people loved that book. And I kept getting asked, when are you going to continue? Are we going to see them again? That's the only book where more people have asked for more of their story than any other book. Yeah. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a try. But I was really nervous. I was like super nervous to write a full-length erotica. And I just said, fuck it, I'm doing it. Let's just try it. This is my trial year. This year, I'm just like 2021, like the world's ending type thing. I'm just going to write like this book and see what happens.
Do what you want.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I did. I just, and I think it's received pretty good reviews, but erotica doesn't sell like romance does. And, the goal is to become a full-time writer, and I could never write erotica full-time and make any money at it. So it was more like a challenge for myself personally to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
And it turns out I can. I feel like it was kind of a success.
I think it was a massive success. I've not had a chance to read it yet, but I have heard so much good stuff about it. I've heard so many people, and people who don't normally read erotica, who are going like, oh, well, I read this because it's Kris Bryant, and loving it. So,
and I purposely gave myself a pen name for erotica because the people who are familiar with my sweet romance, I don't want them to pick it up and go, what the fuck, she's talking about a sex machine or a strap-on. They don't want to read that in romance.
Exactly, because they have that expectation,
right?
And it's like you can help them to say like, I also write this,
right?
Those people who you can't reach, those lovely little sensitive souls who just go, oh, another Kris book.
And they don't want that. So, and I actually had a review recently where somebody did just that, even though they knew it was erotica. They knew it wasn't Kris Bryant. They knew it was Britt Ryder, but they gave it a shot and they just dogged it. They're like, I don't know why I picked this up. I'm like, I don't know why you left a review. It's one of those where it's like, you don't have to leave a review if you read a book and you're not going to want to read it because it's erotica. I don't like erotica, but I like Kris Bryant. But this book is all about sex and here's 2 stars. I'm like, thanks. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So it's like I've given everybody everything. Like there's a big sign, neon sign. This is erotica. It's erotica.
You could not have done anything more. It's like when someone complains about the Amazon delivery, and you're like, but what about the product?
Right.
Like, I don't care that it was dragged through a hedge, but like, what about the thing? What about the lamp? How was the lamp, Margaret?
The lump. I like that. Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, I mean, truly you can't please everybody all the time, but damn it, I really wanted to on this book. For the people who wanted the sex, I'm like, here you go, here it is. And it's a story.
I've challenged myself. So will there be more Britt Ryder then? Or do you feel that she's peaked?
No, I don't think she's peaked. I think she'll show up, but I think I'll just do like Britt Ryder in maybe novellas, short stories, because I feel like it zapped me. Like then I went into Always, and it really, like, to write sex without emotion is very hard, surprisingly. I mean, unless you're like somebody on Kindle Unlimited, Daddy Spanks Me. Then I mean that's different.
Isn't that all just like written by algorithms?
Yeah, I think so. So and this, it was a lot to write. It took so much out of me. And then I go into another emotional book and I'm like, I got to stop this. I couldn't find the sex. I could not get them together. Like I was trying, and I was just sexed out. I was oversexed. So I can't be.
No, I need a break.
I need to get up and I need to take a break from it. So
are you a plotter or a pantser then?
Oh, I'm a total pantser, like 100%. Like so in this book, in my book, there is a political story because so much shit was going on in the United States. Like I had no idea this was going to become like a political thing, but it did because of my environment. And, you know, it was just going to be a simple erotica. And then all of a sudden it became, you know, some sort of political shitstorm and the judge gets involved in it, but it was not planned at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
See, I always get frightened when I go into a book that I'm going to just write, and then I go, where am I? You know, like lost at a crossroads. How do I, and I have written myself into a dead end. So I plot meticulously.
Oh,
like,
really?
Although I will say this latest book, I have just kind of like, and I've never done that before, but suddenly because normally I write chapter 1, this POV, this will happen. Chapter 2, this POV, that will happen. And I go all the way through the entire book until the end. And they get longer and longer because more has to happen in the chapter. Because firstly, it's just like introducing Sarah, introducing whoever. And then it's like this happens and that happens. And then you have to add the details in. So by the time I've got to the end of it, I've probably written between 8,000 and 12,000 words just as the outline. And then I just literally go through and fill it all in.
Oh my gosh.
But this one, I realized I got to like where am I? Chapter 10. And I was like, oh, I went way off script.
Yeah, you did.
Because I've been dipping in. We've been having building work done. And I've been dipping in and kind of like writing 1,000 words and then going and doing something else and then like reading what I'd written and then writing 1,000 words. And I don't know, I forgot I had this outline and I was like, oh, now I've got 2 stories. I don't know what to do. So I might have to like veer it back on path. But I just get frightened that I would just go off into a complete tangent and not be able to get it back.
You know, but the good news is it's okay if you do. I mean, like seriously, like one of my friends, she was writing her proposal to send in, and she's like, how many words are your proposals? Like she's like, I'm at about 6,000. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's me. And when I heard that you say you do like a paragraph, I'm like, I need to talk to Sandy.
So I actually, what I did was, you know how they have the thing, title of the book, how many, you know, your audience, blah, 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 plot. So I looked at the last one I sent in and it was 341 words. And that includes their words at the top. So the 341.
Okay, I'm going to put a lot less work into mine.
I just got in trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Kris said.
Well, yeah.
I'm just going to let the cat out one moment.
Okay, no problem. I can hear them.
He sits and he barks very happily.
That's
until
sweet.
About halfway through a conversation. And then he's like, meow, meow. And he's quite big. And he nuzzles on stuff and he pushes against the table. So like I'm at sea. Yeah. And then I'm just like, I love you, but leave.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, Molly's in the other room. She's on the couch. She doesn't move, so she's good for a while.
No.
I know.
I wish. Yeah, as I say, he goes in the box and he's fine. And I can sit here. I can write for like 4 hours. I go on Zoom and then he's like, hi.
I need out. I need this. Yeah. I need love. I need food. Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, yeah, how are you? But no, I will. I'm going to go to Sandy. I'm going to go. Because sometimes they ask me like, you know, but how does this get resolved? And what's the conflict? And I'm like, because I'm always writing a proposal when I'm writing another book. So I'm like, I'm in this zone, and now I'm suddenly having to come out of that to go into this to tell you what's happening in this book. Yeah. I've just, this book I'm writing now is called Reclaiming Love, and it's about a woman who goes to an island for reasons, and she lives in a cottage which is all run down, and she needs a load of building work done, and has come solely from the fact that we moved into a house which is a trash heap and there's a shit of building work done. So you know where I get my ideas from, I don't know. But Sandy was like, I need the next book proposal. And I was like,
yep.
A handy woman service. And I was like, and a rundown old crap house. And then she was like, great, what else? And I'm like, and then you know, you have to come up with names and you're like, Claire and
Sarah.
I don't know. So yeah, I wrote that.
That's funny.
And yeah, I put so much effort in, and I really don't have to. I'm realizing.
Yeah, you really don't, and you know, Sandy will kill me for that. But I mean, you know, as long and then like you know, a month later she comes back. I need the blurb, and I'm like, I'm on like 800 words. So I have to keep my blurbs very generic because I know point A to point B, you know, they're going to meet, they're going to fall in love, happy ending. So everything in between is just like fluff. Like,
yeah,
I don't really
it's just a free for all, isn't it?
Right.
That's the story. You don't need that.
Story. I like.
That's when you'll buy it.
So many people complain about what was it? It was a book recently that came out, and they were mad that the blurb gave the book away. Like, it tells you what happens. It tells you step for step what happens instead of you finding out on your own. And a lot of people complain about that.
Yeah.
So I don't ever want to get that specific, because first of all, it'll keep me in a box that I can't, like, I'm going to go, I'm like a cat. I'm like everywhere. I just go wherever the story takes me, you know. And sometimes Ashley will say, she's done this twice in 2 books. She's like, okay, your story starts on chapter 3. So the first 2 chapters are gone. And in this book, she took out the first whole chapter. She's like, no, first chapter's gone. Your story
That's funny. I had to put a first chapter in to the last one I was editing. Ruth was like, Ruth actually said to me, and it's really funny because I write the book, I plot it meticulously, I write the book, I read it, I second draft it, blah, 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 I go, yeah, that's the best I can do, and I send it. And then, you know, sometime later, she comes back and she's like, you didn't introduce the second character, like, at all. You kind of, she walks into a room at some point, and it's like, boom, she's here. And I was like, yeah, that's right. A really good point. And she's like, you've got like it, and I don't know why I did this. I don't know what stroke I'd had that made me think this was a good idea. But I'd introduced characters that were not hardly anything to do with the story, very, very minor characters in chapter 1 to set up the scene for 2 other people. And I was like, why did I do that? It made no sense to me. So I was like, yeah, good feedback.
Yeah.
So I had to scrap that and then write a different first chapter.
Well, good catch. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yes. That'd be handy.
So that's probably another reason why my books come in like 70 to 75 is because like the first chapter or first 2 chapters are always scrapped. And I always think they're brilliant. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever written. And then she's like, no, this is horrible. You need to take this out. I'm like, okay, good call. So I trust her.
It's funny though, isn't it? When you first start writing, you kind of like, you're young and hopeful and fresh.
Right. And like, I wrote the best thing ever.
You're like, this is a masterpiece.
And we win all the awards.
And then, you're like, let me just clear some space on this shelf, you know.
For all of my awards.
Yeah, let's just get rid of all of them. And then you've written maybe 2 chapters, 3 chapters, and then you kind of go like, to get to the story. Mm-hmm. But those couple of chapters, they are like the best. Mm-hmm. And then you go back and look at them later, or someone else tells you that they need a bit of changing. I was so happy with my like different way of starting it until Ruth was like, but you didn't actually introduce one of the main characters.
Shit.
You're right, I didn't. I'll work on that. You're like such an idiot. You feel like, I've won a Lammy.
Yeah.
Forgot to introduce one of the characters. You know, it happens.
Yeah, it does. I'm so proud. There's so many books, not so many books, but like my first chapter, I love my first chapters for most part. And it seems like every single one Ashley's chopped. I wasn't fond of it, you know, like the way it started, because in my head, those missing chapters were still there. And I was like, I don't like this. Fine. You know, it turns out okay. But like my very first book that I wrote in third person was Lucky. And I freaking spent forever on that first chapter. And I'm so proud of it. It's like the best chapter. Yeah. It's like something you'd see on like New York Times bestseller list. You know, it's just like the whole book is just like it's just beautiful literature. And then I'm like, I have a month to finish the rest of this. I have worked on this first chapter forever because I was so scared to try third person. And so then I just wrote the story. So like the first chapter is great. And then the rest is kind of blah. And then the ending's fine. So that seems to be my formula, is like really good first chapters, meh, and then a good ending and a good epilogue. So that's my formula.
You should have been on the marketing panel the other day.
I just said that, just as long as you have a really good first chapter, you write sex, and you have
you resolve it all in the end. Perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Happily ever after. Yes.
It is funny though, because as I say, like I plot it out and I really meticulously think about it, but then I kind of, once I begin writing, that's it. It's like it's like someone's turned over like a timer, and that's it. And I don't spend any time finessing anything. I just like, I'm on a journey. I've got to get to the end, and then I'll go back and finesse it later. Or sometimes I edit as I go, depends how I'm feeling, and it depends how stressed I am. Like if I'm like got all the time in the world, then I'll go back and edit as I go. If I'm like, how's it July?
Right, that's me.
Yeah, which is me at the moment. Yes. At the moment, there's little editing happening at the moment. It's just get the words down. And I do a thing where I know what my deadline is and how many days I've got, and then I divide the number of words I need to do. So I'm like, yeah. So, and what happened? And my dad wasn't very well, so I wasn't writing for a few days because I was doing other things. And then suddenly my daily target went up to like 2,450 words a day. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a problem. Now I can write that, but I don't want to write that.
Right, I know. I tell myself like the weekends, write as much as you can on the weekends. And then so this last weekend, what did I do? I was like, I had nothing planned, and all of a sudden I'm going to a movie. And then I went and played pickleball. And then I record the podcast that I do like every other Sunday. So I had that. And like the whole weekend was full. I try. And then I'm racing at the end. Then I'm like, I've got to do 30,000 words in like 4 days, So it's like, I need an extra week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm similar sometimes. I've got two settings. Mm-hmm. I either finish my book a month and a half before the deadline.
Crazy. Like never in my life have I ever finished a book that soon.
I mean, the one I'm doing now, I have my BSB deadline. I have my deadline. My deadline is over a month and a half early, because I have a short story to write and I have something else to write, and I'm going away, and then Women's Week. So my schedule is kind of making me go like, if you want to, because I could be fine with this. And then I would have the worst second half of this year of my life, because nothing else would fit into the schedule. I have to be early with this. But I have two settings. I have a month and a half early, or midnight on the day it's due.
Yes.
Potentially. And this is brilliant, because I'm in Britain. So like I get longer.
Yes, you do. You get like 7 hours longer.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm taking those. I'm having those. And if my deadline's ever on a Sunday, I'm like, you're getting it Monday. I'm going to pretend I don't work weekends. Whereas at the weekend, I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so. I had one time, Cindy, she reached out to me. She's like, it's the 3rd. I forgot what month it was. She's like, it's the 3rd. You have a book due. You had a book due 2 days ago. And I like every part of me, all the blood left my body, and I was like, I'm already pale, but like I was like Casper white. I was like ghost white, and I'm like, what? So I had to go through and look through my emails, and like, when did I contract? When does contracts? When is this due? And it turns out she was wrong. I still had a month. Of course, I still had 30,000 words to write, and so because I panicked. And so I wrote back, I'm like, I show that it's not due till then. She's like, oh, sorry, my mistake. Like she put me, like, I almost had heart failure for like.
So you're like, I invoice you for the last 10 years of my life.
Right. That you just took from me. I think you owe me now. So yeah. Yes. I'm midnight going in. I'm that person, just because I'm a procrastinator, and I know this about myself.
Yeah, you see, I used to be like that, and then when I became a full-time author, because I'll make my life as hard as humanly possible on a regular basis. Like if there's a possibility that I could like really like, but not like, I'll do everything I need to do, like everything will be fine, but then underneath the like the thing that could really build up to be a complete fucking disaster, that's the thing I ignore. So I pay bills, I keep the car topped up with petrol, we have milk in the fridge, everything's fine, like live-in stuff, not a problem. But then, those really important things that are just below the line, I'll leave those till like and then it'll be a massive disaster. So I knew that about myself, and I have a spreadsheet with every day and what I need to do, and I wake up and I write first thing, because I sabotage myself. And if I try to write last thing of the day, if I go, here I am, I'm awake at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll write tonight at 7 o'clock. That won't happen.
Yeah.
That will never happen. And then the next day I'll have like double duty. So I have to do it first thing because I just know that I sabotage myself. So I've been doing that now for probably about 3 years, and it works.
I was going to say, it's totally working. Whatever you're doing, it's working.
But it's a close thing. Like literally every day I'm like, oh, I could do this. And it's the thing. It's literally like I don't have lunch until I finish writing my target.
Oh wow.
So I write in the morning, and yeah, sometimes I'm like, I'm hungry.
Better get this done if I want to eat.
I'll finish these words before I pass out. But that's the only way I can do it. I have to do it. I have to treat myself like a child, because otherwise I just won't do it. And that must be why I plot, because otherwise I just worry that I'll get to the point where it's like, how many words have you got left? Who can say? I don't know. Where's this book going? No idea.
That's me. That's 100% me. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, but here's the deal. I have learned to trust myself. I have learned over the years that what I'm doing is working for me, and like I shouldn't stress. It's like I know that Sandy's going to hit me up real soon for a proposal for a next book, and like it hasn't come to me. It didn't come to me forever. And so I reached out to her and I said, how long before you need a proposal or, paragraph?
Yeah.
And she said, she's like, don't worry, I won't hound you until August. I'm like, perfect. I don't have to think about it, because I trust myself to that. Like in the back of my head, my brain is back there working on something for me, and I trust myself. And so I actually came up with an idea. So, but I haven't worked out like how they get together. I just have these two characters and their situation. And then I have to figure out how they stay together, why they stay together, and then what breaks them apart. The arc. I have to figure out that.
The story.
Yeah, the actual story. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah, that's fine.
They fall in love, and the end.
Yeah.
So
how many words was that? 200.
200. That'll be my goal. Secretly, that'll be my goal, to see what's the shortest paragraph I can turn in for a story idea. And so right now the goal is 320, because 341 is so far. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's probably my shortest paragraph. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. Mine are way longer, because I run out the whole plot, and I do get a bit bored, because I feel sorry for Sandy, because towards the end of my proposal, I'm like, and then stuff that I will figure out later happens.
Yeah, that's what I always say. I'm like, and then something happens and they fall in love forever. And she's like, I need to know what that something is. I'm like, I don't even know. And she always says, I know you're a pantser, but I need to know what the conflict's going to be. And I'm like, I need to know what the conflict's going to be too, but wait till I get there.
You're like, me too.
Yes,
like, exactly. we're all in this boat of uncertainty together.
We're all swimming in the same boat. I don't know what's going to happen. So
I'm realizing now I put far too much work into it, because I literally park up my manuscript. I like go, right, I'll be back with you soon, and then I go and go, a book, right? And this time it was easy, because I was like bang 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 downstairs, and I was like, builders, there were builders, it's a woman right builder, and I was just like, where do I get these ideas? But yeah, and then I plot it all out and I send it to her, and then she comes back with ideas and suggestions, and I'm like, I haven't actually thought about it.
Right. I can't. I'm not in a place where I can't think about it right now.
Don't pick it apart. This is not my best work. Don't scold me.
This is just a conversation on the page. It's not really set in stone.
I'm like, this was 2 hours work, and I spent half that time on Twitter. Like,
at least, yeah, me too.
At least.
And now TikTok. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh my God. I got on TikTok just because I was like, I see funny things on Facebook, and I'd like to see them on the original platform. Right. And there's and I love that. Like, I kind of go, that kid said fuck off. Like, and then it's just like filled with kids that say fuck off, and I'm just like, ooh,
maybe not.
This algorithm's smart. should like some other things.
Yeah. So and so I just figured, why not? Because we're still trying to get in front of people. We're still trying to find a platform. I mean, our next event is P-Town, which is in October, which is great, because I'm tired of being in my house. That's kind of why I started the Patreon page, was because okay, we need to get in front of people. Let's get more people involved, try to see what we can do. And, just because I miss that interaction. And so, so
I so hope we can come on. We're still on Prison Island at the moment and we're not allowed to travel, but we'll see.
Well, if you get boosters in September, if you guys get your boosters.
Yeah, the problem at the moment is that because I think this is the right way around, or because your previous president shut everything like with a key, there's legislation they need to unlock before they do things. So there's that. But there's also the problem that you guys didn't need AstraZeneca, so you haven't approved AstraZeneca. And then we're all coming over with our AstraZeneca jabs and you're going, who? What now?
But then you just cover that part up because you have Pfizer. So just cover that part up where it just only says Pfizer when you show your card and say, look, see, Pfizer. And they're like,
I'll just go, look, I just show Emma's because she's young and she got Pfizer. No.
See, just say, look,
this old woman who got AstraZeneca.
I think it'll be okay. And just say, I'm better off than half of your fucking country.
Yeah.
I'm jabbed.
Yeah, exactly. I believe in medicine. Can I come in, please?
Science. Yeah, exactly.
I could be a human shield for some of your population.
Don't sacrifice yourself for us.
That's how, I'm not going to be in front of a load of Trump supporters with my vaccine powers. Like, no, get them.
Yeah, that's so funny. Well, at least the good news is Massachusetts, it's like the highest state percentage-wise what they have. You know, they're at 70%, I think, vaccinated. So they're above everybody else. So that's good. You have that great. Florida, I'm concerned about future Florida trips for you.
Yeah, I am. We've had so many trips booked that we've cancelled. Literally everyone I know is like, August, and you're like, no, cancel. Okay, October, you're like, no, cancel. And everyone's been doing that forever. We had something booked for, because the reason P-Town came about is because we had flights booked for September for Florida and November with the view that we'd cancel one of them and go on the other one. Obviously September's not happening. Right. And then November, I was just like, not feeling Florida.
Yeah, I don't feel Florida either. Sure,
I love it. I do, but I love me some Disney. I'm very happy with that. And then like you see on like YouTube and on Instagram, like, you know, the great unwashed without their masks and their Mickey pretzels, and I'm like, no, not going there. Like my vaccine is like, I don't know, 70% effective against me like getting ill.
Right.
95% effective against me like going to hospital or dying. But like I don't want to get ill at all. So I'm like,
I know.
It's like it's not worth it. But then moving the flight, I think in P-Town that would be better because that's full of Sapphic women, and generally we're smarter. Mm-hmm. Generally we believe in science. So we'll find out. But I mean, I'm booked in a hotel. I
love it. Yeah, I'm
excited. All ready to go.
I'm excited for sure. Like I was talking to Carson, and it's like, even if they cancel, we're still gonna go. Like I will go read at the Governor. I'll just read. I'll just like get my book out and read, just so I can like say, hey, I was working, and but I'm going.
Exactly.
Even if it's canceled, I'm going because I love P-Town. I love everything about it. I love just hanging out with people who don't want to kill me, and it's a good time. So I'm excited that you're going. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, if they let me out of the country, I'm going.
Yes.
Like everything's. I just need Boris to talk to Joe and go, look.
Right.
Amanda's got this thing in October,
and we really need her. So please, I'll call Joe. I'll call Kamal.
Yeah, call him. I've spoken to Boris and I said, look, I've cancelled like 4 holidays. I'm bored out of my skull. I've been so good. I've had my 2 jabs as you requested. I wear a mask everywhere. I'm just a little tiny trip. Just let me go somewhere.
And I'm going to a place where a lot of people are vaccinated because can you fly directly into Boston?
Yeah. No, I have to stop. I have to stop in Dublin.
Okay.
I can if I go down to Heathrow, but I think speaking of the great unwashed, like I don't want to go down to Heathrow because it's going to be too busy, but I can go from Manchester to Dublin, and then, you know, the Irish, they like a vaccine. So
that's perfect. So just I'll tell Joe your path. He'll be like, okay, let's get her a pass. Let's come in. So
I need some like special. It was funny when lockdown first happened and everyone was like, shut all the borders, and then there were still planes coming in and out of England, and people were like, why are people coming in and out of England? And someone said, they're the a variety of people, but some of them are the nuclear scientists from France who need to check how nuclear reactors are working. We're like,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Thank you. People were like, why don't we just close the island down? And we're like, yeah, we kind of need these people so we don't go up in a big green mushroom cloud. So yeah. So they can travel, I can travel.
Yeah. I think it's the same. We're still providing an emotional support for people. Exactly. I feel like, writers we need that pass so we can please our readers, right?
Definitely.
Okay, let's do it.
Ring Joe, tell him.
Okay.
Or Kamala, maybe she'll be a better way in.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I hope to see you. I hope to see you for sure. We'll have dinner. It'll be great. I'll take you to the cool places in P-Town.
Yeah, I know nothing about P-Town. Nothing. I've looked at it on a map, on Google Maps, and I was like, cool.
It's never what you think. It's so interesting. Like, nobody drives. Like, everybody walks down the street, and maybe a car will let a car through, but maybe not. Maybe. Most of the time, we just like walk. And you walk from one end to the other. And it's the coolest thing because all of a sudden you hear your name and you're like, what? And you see somebody leaning out of the window of a bar saying, come on, have a drink with us.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go and you have a drink and you meet some people and then you go on your merry way. And it's just so much fun. It's like everybody needs to experience P-Town. So anytime there's like a new writer coming on, I'm like, you need to go to P-Town. It's the best thing ever. It will change your life. So
yeah, that's pretty much what I've heard.
Yes.
Mainly from you, but from other people as well. I have heard that it's just like such an experience. So I was going to GCLS last year. Obviously it all got cancelled and I was like, I'm going to do one event. Yeah. I think it has to be P-Town.
I think so too. Yeah. Because there's a lot of readers and plus there are some other publishing companies that come there. It's like Bywater's there. I mean, it's not as vast and big as GCLS, but Lynn Ames is there. Like other people who maybe self-publish, they're there. It's just a fun thing, and you get to meet people that that maybe not are just with BSB. It's fun to hang out with your sisters from PSB for sure. 100%. I miss my friends.
Yeah, especially after the time we've all had and everyone's been locked away. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure like any sort of drunken fest that we're on will be totally excused.
Yeah, I should think so. I'm expecting some kind of free pass.
I think so too.
Anything like it's just well, not that kind, but my wife's coming. So
okay, maybe we'll tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, we have to be a bit more. But yeah, and I'm just expecting like everyone to be just insane because like no one's like socialized for so long. It's almost like
we're gonna forget.
Well, you're gonna have that anxiety at first, and you'd be like, I remember this. You with a drink.
That's exactly. I'm getting there like a day early before it all starts. So.
I think I'm coming in on I haven't booked my flight yet because they won't let me because I don't know if it's open. But
that's true.
But my hotel is booked for the Sunday. So
so you're even there before me, Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I need to acclimatize and Americanize myself. And
that's true. You'll have jet lag.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you get jet lag on the way back, but my excuse was that we get jet lag. Like we won't, because it's basically when we go that way, we just wake up early. We go, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, but it's not. It's 6 a.m. So great.
See, so that way will work for you. I guess that's true. Yes, but just getting the lay of the place. I mean, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, you'll have fun. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this and to finally meet you in person instead of Zoom calls. So,
I want to see people outside of like a Brady Bunch configuration.
Right.
I want to see people in 3D.
People. So, are you a hugger? Are you going to hug people, or are you okay?
Well, I'm a hugger-ish. Depends how well I know someone. My wife, she's all about the consent. She's always like, "Are you a hugger?" Like, she's like,
"See, I'm a consent person too."
Because
I'm a hugger.
So she goes first. She's like my kind of like, she fills people out. She goes, "Are you a hugger?" And I'm just like, great. Now I know. Some people aren't huggers, and you know, and you've got to respect that.
Right. Yeah, you do. Although I think this
an
year,
awkward handshake.
that would be weird. I'll just be like, I'll do the hi. Hi. Nice to meet you. Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
If you're not going to touch me, I'm not going to touch you. It's one of those. You're not going to give me a hug.
Space.
I know.
There's a circle.
But yeah, exactly. What is your circle? So, but I think mostly everybody is pretty huggable. I mean, they like hugs. I don't know. I only know one person who doesn't like hugs, and I always ask.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
And I usually get them. I don't remember a time when I didn't get them, but for sure I ask. So,
but there you go.
It's important. Yeah.
Special.
So I'm getting consent ahead of time for you. I get to hug you.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, well, that's probably enough time for today. That was a lot of fun. So we talked about Under Her Influence.
Hey, look, I'm all professional.
And I can see it on your bookshelf behind you too.
Yeah, with my little person pointing to it. Yeah.
So we have that. So that's out, but then you also have something else coming out, or is already out, or
it's already out. It's a re-release of my debut novel, which I stupidly named Flight SQA016, and no one gets it right, but we called it Flight.
Okay.
And that's been re-released with BSB. It's out now. So
is it out now, or was it a July release, or is it
a July release? Yeah.
Oh, so it is out now. So we have. Do I have the book? I guess I must. Oh yes, I do have the book, because we get the books too, but it's crazy. I just read your book. I was like, how? It's just another one. So okay, so that
I was doing the previews, and they were like, "We need you for preview," and I was like, "I did one last month," and they said, "You have another one." I was like, "Good point."
Okay, yeah, that's true. So yeah, I have Not Guilty. That's out now. That was out. We were twins. We were we dropped
release
our books.
Buddies.
Release buddies, exactly. So I have nothing else this year except for a short story that's going to pop up at some point, maybe this year. And then we have P-Town. So we got our stuff. So do your deadlines, shorten your proposals, and what's the third thing? I'm excited to read the sex scene.
Yeah, well, that's
coming up.
That's like next year. That's like a long way away. But no, I've learned so much. I'm going to save so much time with my proposals.
Yes, you don't have to. It's not necessary.
A mug writing out what's going to happen. I just need to put a paragraph in.
Sandy's going to hate me.
Yeah, and I'm going to blame you.
I know. Dang it.
Sad.
But you don't need to do all that. So I'm sure she trusts you. It's it's a trust thing. So she trusts that I'm going to do something good. So
well, if she disagrees, then I might actually tell her at P-Town, like when you're there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, oh, by the way, Sandy, Kris said
we're there.
Yeah, that one there.
That one right there. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can handle it.
That'd be the best way to do it.
I can handle it. In person, I'm a lot better in person than I am like over the phone, for sure. So.
Well, you can read people, can't you? And you can do your cheeky grin and see if it's working.
See if it's working. And if it doesn't work, then I turn into bitch mode, like fast.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. You kind of go, I'm kidding. And then when they kind of like come up again.
You're like, fine, let's do this. All right, okay, throw down.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm going to cause so much shit.
You are.
Joe's going to be like, don't let her in.
I know. I'm going to have Joe call for us. No.
No, we've heard the rumors. We've seen the interview. It's going to be bad.
It'll be great. Okay, well, have a good day. Get to writing. And we will talk soon. Definitely. It's been a pleasure.
Great to see you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.